He was going crazy about her. I knew something was really wrong. I mean, he never talked to her or met her, and it had been almost a year. Yeah, maybe I was starting to get a bit jealous when he started messaging her things that he would never share with me. So one day, I sit him down and tell him that he needs to find out who she really is. That he needs to ask her to meet up with him. For all he knows, she was a dude. Tony was offended. He said I didn't know what I was talking about, that I didn't know her the way he knew her. But I convinced him. I convinced him to prove me wrong, so he asks her to meet up. She refuses. He asks again. She refuses again. I make him put his foot down and tell her, you know what? Either meet me in person or this is over. That does the trick. They set up a time to meet at this coffee place, and I go along with him just to make sure everything is fine. You know, in case it's some creepy old man or something. So we are sitting there at the coffee shop, and we wait and there's no sign of her. 2 days later, she messages that her father took away her phone, and I knew it was bullshit. But Tony believes her. He's all like, that's fine, we'll meet up some other time. And I told him there was something really wrong. I told him to ask her to send a picture. Nothing's gonna stop her from doing that, right? After much hesitation, she does. So, after an entire year of messaging back and forth, Tony finally gets to see what she looked like. And guess what? She was this very pretty and very good looking girl, and believe me, I knew it was fake. So that day, I go to his house to spend the night. His parents were out of town. So I go to his house after my evening classes, and I convince him that we should do one of those reverse image searches on the picture. It's this thing where you upload a picture and it finds you similar pictures from the web. And we do that, and sure enough, there are hundreds of matching pictures. I look at Tony with a "I told you so" look. Little did I know that this was going to be the least craziest thing to happen that day. We started clicking through the results. It was always some guy posting the picture and asking if somebody knew her. And then we came across your post on how you found that most of the suicide victims were in touch with this girl in one form or another. I swear I saw Tony sweat. And then his phone chimes. He checks it and he went pale. So I grabbed his phone and it's a message from her. It read, "What are you doing?" I put his phone away. It chimed again and again. It's the same message on repeat. "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Tony finally replies, "At the movies. Talk to you later." Another message. "I know you're home." We both looked at each other. Another message. "I know you're looking me up." Tony writes, "Where are you?" And she replies, "In your house." That's when I see her, standing right there behind Tony with a face like a devil, and she was staring at me with this devilish grin. Tony turns around and sees her himself. I run out of the room and to the front door, and I stopped when I realized Tony was still in his room. I was scared, but I started to walk back to his room. I could hear the noise of cupboards opening and closing as if he was searching for something. I finally reach his room. The door is wide open just like I left it. I look inside and see him sitting in his chair with her standing beside him. And he wasn't looking up at her. He was looking down at his arms, and he was slicing them open with this X-Acto knife. I shouted at him to stop, but before I can even finish my sentence, the door just closed on my face. It actually hit me so hard that I blacked out. I don't know how long I was out. When I came to, the door was still locked. I pounded on it, kicked at it. Finally I gave up and called the cops. Tony was dead by the time they got to him. No one believed my story. So part of my therapy here was to remember what actually happened. I had to make up an entire story about how Tony had been depressed for a long time, and that's what made him take his own life. To tell you the truth, after 4 months of medications and therapy, I was starting to believe the lie. And things seemed to get better for some time. But then last week, I had an opportunity to log into my Facebook for the first time since everything, and I had a friend request.